Hey y'all, welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. I am your host, Yolanda. Thank you for tuning in with me. This is another week, so I'm back with another episode. I cannot hear myself. Alrighty, I hope you guys out there are doing well. It has been a very long week for me. You know what? This is going to be a freestyle session, a freestyle show. What do I mean by that? I am not prepared. That's exactly what I mean. I think I told you all I used to do this episode actually on Wednesday nights, right before the episode would air on Thursday. So because I edit YouTube, I was like, all right, I'll do it on Sunday because the YouTube editing and uploading takes me a little longer, and I didn't want to wait till the last minute and be up all night. So that didn't happen. So it's literally Wednesday night, probably about 9 or so. I don't remember what time it is before I came in the studio. But it's about 9 or so. And yeah, it's freestyle because I'm not prepared. There's been so much going on in my life. This week at school, we have something called All-Star Week, which is like just homecoming, but for basketball. And so we've been like planning these events, and I've just been exhausted and just didn't have time to clear my head and prepare. But the show must go on, and I can't stop because I haven't been prepared. I've committed myself to doing this on a weekly basis, and this is just a show of, hey, you got to mean what you say and stick to your guns, and I'm sticking to what I said I was going to do. So here we are. So what is going on in the streets? I don't know. I just told y'all I was busy. The Grammys were on. Did anybody watch? I didn't. I think I plan to maybe watch a couple of highlights from them. And I did see a lot of what people were wearing and what was going on. But I don't know what the performances were like. I really did want to see the hip hop tributes. Hopefully I'll get to watch it maybe this weekend. No, I don't think I got something to do this weekend too. So I'll watch it at some point, but I always used to wonder when people be like, I don't have time to watch TV. I'm like, who are these people? Because maybe I'm wasting time because I have a lot of time to watch TV, but I see this week has just been really busy for me. So anyway, I don't have many hot topics, but guess what I do have? I have someone who wrote in and wanted to get my frank opinion on a situation. So we have a situation to review and analyze and talk about. So someone hit me up and they wanted to find out what my opinion was or wanted me to talk about men. And it was about a man who apparently had been in the streets hoeing and doing women wrong and just kind of out there bad, as one of my friends would say, thotting and bopping, right? And he recently settled down and got married, and of course has been receiving all of this praise from the community. Or just people in general. And I'm sure this is by social media, just her hearing people talk about him, saying how well he's doing and how proud of them he is and how he's such a good man. And all she knows is like, oh, he's ran through some women, like done some dirty. And she knows of stories because she has friends who have dealt with him and know personally some of the trauma and pain that he's put this woman through. And this was recently. We're not talking about, okay, this guy is 40 and this happened when he was like 17, 18, or even in his 20s. This was like, okay, within the last 2-3 years. And then all of a sudden he's married. And apparently the woman that he married, she was an affair that he had on a girlfriend. And then he decided to, I guess, be with this woman, and then he married her. So some would argue that, okay, this was his person. And so maybe he's a changed man. I myself I'm not the one to say that people can't change, because I love on this platform to say people are not the same. However, as I say all the time as well, everything is circumstantial. So I, of course, had to ask a few questions because I wanted to get the full details of who this individual was. I'm sorry. Feels like something in my mouth. I'm sorry, guys. This is such like a Wendy Williams type of episode. You ever watch her show where she's just like digging through her teeth or like wiping her nose or digging in her booth or something? That's one of these shows. So bear with me, y'all. And that's for my YouTube people out there. Obviously, my audio people won't see any of this, which is great. So back to the story. So I asked, like, okay, well, did this girl know that he was his current wife, know that he was dealing with someone when they were together? And apparently, yes, that girl happened to have been pregnant with his child, and they all got, she confronted the woman, all of this stuff. And yet she went on to marry this man, knowing that he had been dogging some woman that apparently was pregnant with his child and been messing with her at the same time, and she didn't care. Her thing was, hey, if a woman did the same thing and all of a sudden settled down, the world doesn't give her that same praise. It's like, oh, he took a hoe and made her into a housewife, and that men don't feel like this guy got a prize because he turned this girl that every man had messed with his wife, and that, they don't get praise from like everybody else in the community saying, oh, that's good for her, she settled down. But yet they talk trash about the person that they're with, and like, okay, how could he have turned her? And I wouldn't want that to be my wife. You know what? This probably needed to be like an open dialogue with other people's opinion, because I think that my opinion is not like the norm. So I don't think that how I feel about this is probably how everybody else feels about it. I don't know. Could be. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what I think. So I kind of agree with her in that, and we know this isn't anything new. I agree on the part that men can do whatever they want to do. And most of the time people don't see it as a bad thing. They don't care about the body count of the man. A woman never asks a man, how many people have you slept with? They always want to know how many people a woman has slept with and deem her worthy or not based on her body count. Also, they assume that everybody that a woman dates or has been seen with, she slept with, so they automatically, cut that out. And I saw a reel that made a interesting point. It was a clip of a podcast, and the woman was saying, why do you guys count a woman's body count? Because most of women are not getting in relationships with some of the men that they're sleeping with. So as a man, if you know that just because you date a woman for 6 months, you may not make her your girlfriend, but you also know within that 6 months, you wouldn't have been dating her for 6 months had she not been giving it up. So then if you expect a woman to give it up with you, to you while you're dating, then why would you not expect for a woman to have a high body count? Because if she, say, started having sex at 21, and every 6 months she's dating somebody different because these men that maybe she's getting with isn't looking forward to be in a relationship, are you expecting her to not have sex with these men? Because if you were that man that was dating her for 6 months, you wouldn't expect to wait. So then why judge a woman at 40 now for not being in a relationship or married and having a high body count when most men in their 20s aren't even wifing up these women or even getting into serious relationships with them? At the end of the day, the expectation that a woman is going to have 3 partners by the time you got with her at 40 and marry her is just unrealistic. It's unless she's just a virgin, and that's possible, but these women are rare. They're on the other end of the spectrum. This isn't a normal thing. So if you look at it from that angle of when a woman starts to have sex, and again, being realistic about what y'all even expect from a woman when you're dating her, who's having 2 people when you meet them, unless you're meeting a girl that's 19, 20, that's fresh out of high school? I'm sorry. I'm being real reckless, y'all, but I had to get that out. Something was snagging me. So that's just not realistic that for you to just make those assumptions. So men sometimes start way younger than women. So, but nobody ever asks, and you're not thinking, okay, is this man been with 20 women? Has he been with 100 women? And then, women have this fantasy about being with celebrities. Oh my God, you don't want to know the body count on some of these celebrities. So on another podcast in that same realm, it was 2 women on the show talking about young boy NBA, NBA young boy, however you say that. I'm telling my age. I just ran out, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, she was saying that one girl was saying that she had sex with him. And if you got kids in the car, go ahead and cut this out because this might be a little, explicit. I'm going to try to clean it up as much as I can. So she was saying, oh, did he in you? Right? And she was like, no. She was like, really? That's his specialty. I was like, yes, I'm on birth control. You can go ahead and do it. I was just lying. And the girl was like, no, I told him to do it on my, and I'm pointing to my upper body people on the audio. That's what she said. She wanted him to, on her. So in my mind, I'm just completely grossed out because clearly she's saying that this young boy NBA young boy, doesn't like to use condoms obviously, and he likes to shoot up the club, pretty much. And it's a normal thing for him. It's his thing, is what she says. And that kind of thing just kind of grosses me and scares me out. So going backwards to the situation with this young man, my stepmom and my father was at my house, and they were just venting, and she was telling me like old stories about my dad back in the day. And she said, yeah, your dad was a homemonger. Now, I ain't really never heard of that, but that's what she called him. And then my daddy goes, nah, I wasn't a homemonger. I was just amongst the hoes. I'm sorry. I thought that was hilarious. But pretty much what he was saying, kind of like low key saying, nah, they were hoes. I wasn't no hoe. I was just amongst the hoes. So I think that that's what men see. They don't see themselves as hoes. So I doubt that this guy ever saw himself as such. And when I say I don't think like everybody else, I do see those men as hoes, and I do look at them, and to me, their value does decrease whenever you find out all these things. Now, normally I wouldn't judge a college boy for running around, because technically you're not, you're single until you're married in the big scheme of things. Yes, there can be committed relationships, but unless you're like, when I say real committed, maybe living together, or, you've been monogamous with each other for years and there haven't been really many shenanigans, or you're engaged or something like that. Those are, to me, like serious committed relationships. But that dating world where, even if you say, okay, that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend, and everybody's cheated on everybody, to me, you might as well just be single. All of that is just pointless. But anyway, I wouldn't judge someone that young that's kind of like out in the streets moving. But for somebody to be 40, and I think this guy's in his 30s based on what she said, I feel like that's a little long in the tooth to be playing games. And who knows what he said to these men, because I think that a lot of times is what they're telling these women. Yes, we're in a committed relationship. No, I'm not seeing anybody else. And then assuming that the woman knows what time it is, or not saying anything at all. And I hate when people say this, because people will be like, well, actions speak louder than words. I beg to differ. Most of the time, a person will be treating you like they're your boyfriend. They may not ever officially say it, but in your mind, it's like, well, everything about what he's doing says that he's committed to me. Even though he hasn't officially said anything, I understand that men don't always openly express themselves. So maybe it's that he's just not saying it, but he answers when I call him. We always spend time together. I spend the night at his house. We're always together. So he has to be into me, because remember, the world says actions speak louder than words. So even though he may not have said, I love you, his actions are saying he loves me, and that, this is moving in the right direction, and we're probably going to be in an official relationship. But to me, men think opposite of that. They will then spin that and be like, well, did I ever say you was my girlfriend? Did I ever say we were together? Did I tell you that I loved you? So it got to be both. If you asking me, a man got to tell you and show you that he really is into you, because nowadays that whole action speak louder than words don't always work. It doesn't always pan out that way, because they play these little manipulation games, and then they'll have you thinking one way so that they can now shut you down on the back end. And then they have these preconceived notions of you sometimes, ladies, that you don't even know. Okay, well, you were never going to be my girlfriend because I saw you as. I had a man low-key say to me that the reason why he didn't take this woman serious that he was dating, because she was a party girl. Yes, she was always at every party, but I'm sure that in her mind, she wasn't thinking that this man saw her as a party girl when he wanted to date her. She just probably felt like he liked me. But no, he never took her serious because he considered her as a party girl. So do we even know how men see us? Do they see us as wifey material? They'll never tell us, but you just don't know. So this is going to sound bad. I don't think that man changed in 2 years or 3 years. And honestly, I want to say that the women that stay with men who have been like hoes and out here messing with everybody and dogging women and being disrespectful and having, women pop up to their house and flatten girls' tires and bust out windows and all of those type of things, they can be faithful for a little while, but typically that behavior tends to rear its head. And the women that end up with those kind of men, I hate to say it, are usually the women that tolerate it. They just had the patience enough to stick around long enough to be like, okay, well, I'm tired now. So she been with me for the long haul. I'll choose her. She been riding with me till the wheels fall off. I done put this woman through so much. But who wants to be that, okay, well, you the last one standing in the line. We done turned everybody around because you stand and we just gonna give it to you. You didn't really win a prize. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be with a man that I can ask 10 women within my workplace whether or not they know this man or been with him or know somebody that been with him. That's to me not a prize. So no matter how much they how they look on paper, at the end of the day, what's their character? Because to me, sleeping around like that just is a bad stain on their character. And I know this is the mature 42-year-old talking. The 25-year-old me, 23-year-old me, of course I didn't think like that. So I think that to see somebody in that era, it depends on who you are as a person and how you view things. And so I think the world, I don't want to say praises a man for settling down, but I think everybody loves love. And I think any true love story or what appears to be a love story, because remember, they're probably seeing this on social media and not everything is what it's cracked up to be on social media. So even though you saw it on social media and it may have seemed like, okay, and I know this person personally, but everybody's praising them as if they don't know that this person is dirty. It may not be that woman may not be happy just because you see people with a family and that they're married and that things look good on the surface. He may still be dogging this woman because it's not like she's going to come out and say it like, yeah, y'all, he married me, but he's still a hoe. She's not going to say that. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's all just speculation, but I understand. I always tell my students that you will become who you are in high school, that people can never erase that stain. So even though you may have grown and matured, when you run into people that grew up with you, that know you from either college or high school, they're going to always have that image of you. So it's always hard to shake it. And you got to go so long with just doing something different so that now that becomes what the long-term memory of you is that they have, and they don't think about that old stuff, but that's a hard thing to do. So because he made the switch, I'm assuming so quick, from like being in the streets and now being what they deem faithful, it was been too quick. Like, I just can't believe it. Now, it ain't their business, to be fair. I mean, who cares what the world deems of him? It's not really something to concern yourself with if this isn't somebody that's like, a close friend of yours and you're like, come on, you putting on for the world, you're really not like that. So I get it. It was just a point of conversation. She just wanted to know, like, why is it like that? We all know it's always been a double standard. That's nothing new. The world has always seen us as, okay, held to a higher standard than men. Men can kind of get away with a lot. I remember I knew this guy who everybody just thought was like the cat's meow. Like, he was handsome and he had a decent job, and on paper everything was just like, oh my God, was just very nice and just helpful and just he was it. And he was never really came on to anybody, had a girlfriend. You could tell that there was some loyalty there because you didn't hear about him in the streets. Now, I heard about his past, like, okay, in college he was a hoe, he did all of this, but this is a grown man in his 40s, over 40. So you just assume like, okay, again, this is a changed person, until he wasn't in a relationship anymore. And then it was like messing with multiple people that worked at the same place, and it was just like grimy, and people you just would never expect, like no standards whatsoever. If you got a cat, I want it. You understand what I'm saying? Just like no standards. So to me, it completely changed my mind about this person. Like, I don't even see them as like, okay, this is a catch. Anybody would be happy to settle down with a man like this. To me, I would be embarrassed to be like, oh, this the man that I decided to marry and settle down with, because their name's so bad in the street. Like, everybody knows the business. They've been with all these different people, and for all 10 females you may know right now that you can call, at least 2 of them can say, I've been with him, or I know somebody been with him. That ain't a good look. Like, who wants that? So no matter what your credentials are as a man, yeah, you can kind of hold yourself out, at least for a high value woman, as Kevin Samuels would say. I think so. Now, yes, would a woman get with you? Of course, there's somebody for everybody. I told you, not everybody's going to think like me. I just think that if you hold yourself to a certain standard and you want to be viewed a certain way, and by no means am I perfect or the person that I'm with perfect. We not perfect. At the end of the day, we accept each other for who we are, as you expect for any relationship to be like. And I always go into any relationship I've ever been in with as an open book. So I don't have no problem telling my business. And if you choose to deal with me, then nobody's coming to you telling you anything about what I did. I always stand on that. I feel like if you want to have a healthy relationship, then you should always be upfront and honest about who you are and what you got going on, because it's worse when somebody else comes back and be like, hey, you know your boy, hey, you know your girl. Then now you looking like you putting on a front. Now, granted, that's still past stuff, but I think that there's some things that you should share. If you know that you are dealing with somebody who say is from your same neighborhood or same high school, a lot of times for whatever reason, why people want to know this, I don't know, but who have you messed with that I know? You know, a lot of times that's important to people. So if that's important to you and you want to know, I don't have a problem with being honest about that, because people sometimes want to know if I'm going into certain rooms, am I going to run into somebody that's looking at you like, yeah, I done had that. I don't really care. At the end of the day, I don't want to, of course, it not be somebody I'm related to, but if y'all were in a relationship with somebody I'm related to and it was a serious relationship, I should already know that. So if I don't know you and I don't know anybody personally that you've dealt with, then to me, it doesn't really matter, because like I said, we don't owe it to anybody once we've dated them to steer clear of anybody that they've ever known in their life. We don't have that type of authority, although we think we do. Oh, I used to date him and she know that, so why is she talking to him? Who gives a shit? Excuse my language. At the end of the day, you don't have the rights to someone just because you dated them, and you don't own the right to be like nobody that you know can date them, and they can't move on with somebody because they don't belong to you and you don't claim any rights to that. And even, I hate to say it, if it was your husband and your husband and you divorced them, your husband can be with whoever he wants. The ex-husband can be with anybody they want to be with, whether you know the person or not. It could be somebody that you worked with or somebody that who cares? If that's who they choose to move on with, you may think that it's messy, but messy why? Just because you know the person? 9 times out of 10, you don't know the person the way you think you know the person. If you hadn't been in their house and they hadn't been in your house, then to me, you don't know them. That's the litmus test we gonna have. If you ain't been in their house, you don't know them people. Anyway, moving along. Frankly, the fact of the matter is, it ain't never none of our business why people choose to do what they do, whether they're settling down after becoming hoes or not. I think that is a fine line when it comes to judging people. And just like on the last episode, I say we need to mind our business. We do need to mind our business and pray for people. I know that sounds really crazy, but pray that they have growth. Pray that you have growth so that you see things a little different. If this person makes them happy to the point where they thought to settle down with them, because that is a big step regardless of for who it is, settling down, saying, I choose you publicly in front of everybody. And I choose to be with you and share my life with you for the rest of my life. At least that is my intent. That is a major step, no matter who it is, whether it was a hoe or not. At the end of the day, marrying someone is a major step. So most people don't take that leap until they're ready. So this young man had to have been ready for that move. I hope that he is being faithful to the young lady and staying faithful. And I think maybe the world was saying, hey, we're proud of you for settling down and not running the streets. What this young lady who reached out to me is trying to say is, world, she wants you all to have the same grace when it comes to women. If you know some woman has been out there thotting and bopping, then you got to give that woman the same grace that you've been giving men when they decide to settle down. Because just because she likes to explore herself and her sexuality and be liberal in whatever it is that she does, you got to have that same grace. I mean, I don't see a difference between women and men when it comes to that. I think that we all could do whatever it is that we want to do. We just need to do it in respect. And sometimes everybody ain't got to know everything. And so sometimes if you're doing things, just be a little bit more discreet about it. And then your name won't be too bad in the streets, right? And then sometimes people straight up lie on you. So I would not believe anything that I hear, and definitely half of what you see. That's the old saying, and it rings true. And sometimes you can hear and see something and not be what it is. A lot of times things are not what they seem. So back to what we were saying about the marriage. He is married. We would pray that it's happily, but you never know, because not everybody is upfront and honest about their life and what is going on. And I understand they don't have to be. And they're only going to give you a glimpse into their life. And so if you around here Facebook lurking, Instagram lurking because of what they post and how they post, trying to figure out their life, they only sharing what they want to share. So if you think you're getting some insight into something somebody else don't know, you're not. It's public information and they're putting it out because they choose to. So it's some sort of strategy behind it. And if you around here to speculate, you might just be wrong. Now, I know it's some high tech high-tech private investigators, and I like to think of myself as one. I promise you I can figure some stuff out. I always have, and I always will. And I promise you, if I gotta go searching for something, it's because I got a gut feeling and I always be right. And at the end of the day, it's not because I got some, fake news online or something. People's behaviors always tell on them. So you can always tell when somebody's doing something they ain't got no business doing, or sneaking around or doing whatever, or something in the milk ain't clean. It's always behavior. Always watch change behavior. They go from doing something all the time to not doing it. They go from talking to you to not talking to you. They go from wanting to see you to not wanting to see you. Or it's all, again, change behavior, whatever that is. If you pay attention to that, you'll always find out what's going on. So that's it, guys. That is my time. I hope you liked my improv show, because that's what it was. I mean, I wasn't even loosely prepared for this. So I appreciate you all for always sticking by me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you are liking and sharing and subscribing and all of that good stuff on all platforms. If you're listening to me, make sure you are following and subscribing and all that other good stuff like I just said. Till next time, guys, I will holla at you all. Bye.